No Doubter Nation, it is Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. We are bringing you our weekly college baseball recap, and we're bringing it to you a few days after we normally do, because we are right in the thick of the postseason right now as regionals just finished up at sites across the country back Monday evening. And so now the Sweet 16 of college baseball, the super regionals, getting ever so closer to Omaha and the field of eight. Got one more big weekend to go to determine that. We're going to talk, we're going to give a brief rundown of how all the regionals turned out this past weekend, preview this upcoming weekend's matchups with the super regionals, and then give predictions for, once again, some updated predictions for the field of Omaha 8, because my predictions from last week are going to have to change a little bit because of how some of these regionals turned out. But I'm Travis T-Bone Laughley, joined here with my co-host Barrett Boom Bostic, bringing you No Doubter as always. How are you doing this evening, Boom?
Doing well. College baseball is in its most exciting part. This is the part where most people tune in. Of course, the College World Series is where the most people tune in. But nevertheless, we are almost to that point. It's gone by so fast. It's a short season. It's packed with action, and you got some teams here that some aren't a surprise, but some are a surprise. I mean, we've been tracking it on a weekly basis, and there's some of these teams where you're just like, how the heck did you get here? But yeah, well, can't wait to get in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with that in mind, we are going to get right to it here because
Nice.
because we're not going to stay too long here in the regionals. Those are in the past, but we do need to talk about everything that happened. So let's start off with none other than the number one overall seeded Tennessee Volunteers hosting their Knoxville regional. Friends, I think if you followed us really at any point this year, if you followed really college baseball at all, you know that the Vols are the real deal.
Yeah.
They showed that. Showed that this weekend in Knoxville, at home there in the friendly confines of Lindsey Nelson Stadium there on the University of Tennessee campus. Tennessee was winners bracket straight all the way through. 10-0 shutout of Alabama State, the 4 seed in game one. Campbell, the Camels, they got a opening win over Georgia Tech to continue them in the winners bracket. Tennessee gets that 12-7 victory over Campbell in game two. Georgia Tech comes all the way through the losers bracket, defeats Alabama State 13-4 in their second game. Comes back, defeats Georgia Tech. Defeats Campbell, 16-5 in their next game, taking them to the winners bracket. At that point, they would need to win to Georgia Tech. Really, their pitching really shored up. You had some good offensive performance out of them. For sure, that was shown throughout a lot of the weekend, and as you got to the championship game. However, 2 games would not be happening. Tennessee took care of business, closing things out late with a 9-6 win to just outright sweep their regional there. What can you do? It's Tennessee was legit. It is legit still. They're very much in the thick of this thing. I mean, Tennessee or the field when it comes to actually winning this entire thing this year. That's to be discussed later on. But Tennessee just keeps rolling there. The Vols are absolutely on fire. That is a talented, stacked baseball team in all facets of the game. So there will be a Knoxville Super Regional because of that.
There you go. Party up in Knoxville.
Yes. And now we head out west, far out west, all the way just outside the Bay Area to the farm. I am talking about Stanford University in none other than Palo Alto, California. The number 2 seeded Stanford Cardinal hosting their Stanford Regional. This one required a little bit more work here out of the Cardinal. They in their opening game, they took care of business more than handily over Binghamton, 20-7.
Wow.
Texas State defeated UC Santa Barbara 7-3. That one, I picked UC Santa Barbara. I just talked about this on the podcast last week that I didn't have like the stats, the data to back it up. I just had this gut feeling that they would upset Stanford. here in this regional. And it was not to be. Texas State, as we know, a team that we have talked about throughout much of the season, that they were all gas, no breaks, really from February when the season first started. Picked up some great wins throughout the way. Never really had faltering moments in conference play. Really had more than enough of a resume to get here into the tournament, and that was reflected in their 2 seed that they carried here into regionals. And so they then, in the winners bracket in game 2, they defeated Stanford 5-2. So that sent then the Cardinal to the losers bracket.
Yes.
The Cardinal then had to come back and get the 8-4 victory, knocking then out the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. So that upset pick that I had went out the door. But that means, because Stanford got into the championship game, they're in their own regional through the losers brackets, they would then have to win 2. Would that happen? Stanford would do so in game 6 there with an 8-4 victory over the Bobcats of Texas State. And then in game 7, they just at the end squeaked it out over the Texas State Bobcats 4-3. Congrats, Stanford, getting out of your regional. I mean, this was a tough one. It really was a very stacked regional with a lot of good teams in there. And Texas State certainly brought their A game out there to Palo Alto. Stephen Trout and his squad there with Texas State. Excellent job. Tip of the cap to y'all. Not wearing a cap, but if I was right now, I'd be tipping it to you guys.
It's a baseball podcast, man. You gotta.
Hey, I work hard. I work hard on this hair. You know, I wear caps a lot of times, but I take good care of this hair. I pay good money for the haircut.
There you go. I wear a hard hat almost every day, so you just learn to. Not worth the effort.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hard hat hair.
Yeah, you don't really get a opportunity to show off the dome at all out there on out on the work field.
There you go.
Anyways, we digress. We're not a hair podcast. We're a baseball podcast. So Stanford, they are the winner of that regional, and we stay out on the West Coast, heading just north there, a little bit further up to the one state north of California. That is the state of Oregon, and the Oregon State Beavers in Corvallis hosting that regional, number 3 overall seed. What happened here with Beavers? Well, this was also a regional that had a lot of action as well too. It was a pretty good field overall. You had went up against the 4-seeded in their regional in that opening game, the WAC champions, the New Mexico State Aggies. And they had to squeak out a 5-4 win right there at the end over the Aggies. The Aggies were just playing really strong pitching, really good situational hitting, taking advantage of the opportunities as they came along. And they gave Oregon State a scare there in their own regional. Vanderbilt did drop the opening game to San Diego and the Toreros 3-2 there. So that sent Oregon State and San Diego into the winners bracket there in for game 2 for them. Oregon State absolutely demolishes them 12-3, which then sends the Toreros to a losers bracket matchup there against the Commodores of Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt gets a 14-4 win over San Diego, moving Vanderbilt into the championship game, which means that Vanderbilt would need to win 2. They got 1 win in the opening of that championship series there. An 8-1 victory over Oregon State in game 6, sending it to a game 7. And then Oregon State squeaks it out 7-6 with a win there to win the Corvallis Regional and move on to Supers. Oregon State helped out all of America, ensured that the Vandy Whistler would not be making any further trips in this postseason. So
Vanderbilt.
Congrats, Vanderbilt, the school playing the one sport that they're really good in, and that they get to claim SEC supremacy in, because they don't do a whole lot of anything else there. But that's because you go to Vanderbilt to learn and to expand your brain, not for athletics a lot of times. But then we move out to the number 4. We move Ben back out east to the number 4 overall seeded team, Virginia Tech Hokies, hosting their Blacksburg Regional, their first regional that they had hosted in 9 years, since Pete Hughes was the coach there back in 2013, right before he left for Oklahoma. This is one of these regionals where I was just very skeptical of Virginia Tech. Had an absolutely incredible season. This kind of felt almost like in a situation with Oregon last year where they were making it back to a regional for the first time in a really long time. You have an entire team of guys that hadn't experienced anything like this. I didn't see this as the toughest regional in the world, but I just saw it as very suspect for the Hokies in this. But the Hokies proved me wrong. They proved all of America wrong. They proved all the doubters wrong.
Yes.
There
are no doubters.
I see what you did there.
Yes.
And the offensive explosion continued out there in Blacksburg, out in the hills of Virginia. And the Virginia Tech Hokies in their opening game over the Wright State Raiders, a 15-9 victory to move them into the winner's bracket. Columbia would take care of Gonzaga with an 8-2 victory there to move them into the winner's bracket. Virginia Tech moves on in the winner's bracket with that 24-4 victory over Columbia. Like I said, offensive firepower. In the elimination bracket side of things, Gonzaga defeats Wright State, sends them home packing 0-2 in that regional. Gonzaga continues on in the losers bracket with a 15-6 and drops that game 15-6 over Columbia. So that means faces up the Columbia Lions out of the Ivy League against Virginia Tech. Columbia would need to win 2 in their return to baseball play after a couple of years away due to COVID in order to win that regional in Blacksburg. But Virginia Tech shut the door on it. They took care of business. It was a 7-2 win there in Game 6. Virginia Tech is the winner of their own regional.
There you go.
And then moving on to College Station.
C-Stat.
Yes. The number 5 seeded Texas A&M Aggies. If I can look at the correct bracket here. I'm looking ahead to Super Regionals. That is the wrong thing to click. What happened there? Speeding things along here, picking it up a bit. A&M really just took care of business all the way through. Went straight to the winner's bracket with an opening win over Oral Roberts. Louisiana battles back. Louisiana gets in the winner's bracket as well with an opening win over TCU. But TCU ultimately comes back or through the losers bracket, gets in the championship series. But it's a 15-9 blowout of A&M and Jim Schloss-Nagel's former team over the TCU Horned Frogs. Pretty cool moments at the end of Game 6 after the game was over. Schloss apparently went and spent time with a lot of his former players over there, shook hands, gave hugs, all that. He admitted going into the regional that, hey, I didn't spend I really just kind of left pretty quickly after I got the job down in College Station. So he made it up and went and spent some time and acknowledged a lot of his old players down there. So classy move by Schloss. Yeah, it's a heat of the moment type of situation when you get a new job somewhere. And but that's some good closure and end on the old chapter there. And the future looks bright for the Aggies right now. Really good baseball is back in College Station.
Yeah, the Aggies have really they have really been fighting from behind from the beginning of the season, but I'm very, very, very proud of them. Every SEC recap I would do, I would be like, come on, A&M, I'm rooting for you guys. And I'm just, you're surprised. You just see them on the outskirts the whole time. And then as of late, they're just surging. So I don't know. These teams, man, it's another gear.
Yeah, definitely. And then we move on to Coral Gables. So the Coral Gables Regional, hosted by the number 6 overall Miami Hurricanes, a storied team in college baseball. They get an 11-6 opening win over Canisius to move straight into the winners bracket. Ole Miss does the same. The very last team in the last four in a controversial pick. But they showed from the beginning that they wanted to prove that they belong. That they did so, getting a 7-4 win over Arizona. So Miami and Ole Miss will move into the winners bracket. Miami would then drop that game to Ole Miss. They're 2-1. Arizona knocks out Canisius 7-5. So that means then Arizona and Miami face up against each other, and Arizona knocks Miami out of their own regional with a 4-3 win over them. So that means that the regional final of Coral Gables was against the Ole Miss Rebels and the Arizona Wildcats. And Tim Elko had an absolute field day for the Rebels out there. It was a 22-6 final victory there in Game 6. So Ole Miss straight through the winners brackets and opposing in a regional on the road. They up and down season continues here on the upside in this case here, winning the Coral Gables regional. Hats off to the Rebs. Now we move on to the number 7 overall seeded team in the country, and that was the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And what a wild regional this was. They get the 10-5 win in the opening game over the Missouri State Bears. Arkansas handles their business handily, 7-1 over Grand Canyon. In the next game, the winners bracket, Arkansas defeats Oklahoma State 20-12. It looked like Oklahoma State had this game in hand. They throw their two-way star Nolan McClain out there to close it out, leave him in 2 wrong, gives up a whole bunch of runs, including, I believe, a grand slam. Just this game gets away from them, so that sends Oklahoma State back to the losers bracket. With Missouri State defeating Grand Canyon, that means that they'd be facing the Bears in the losers bracket there. And at one point, they were very much down to Missouri State. I forget the exact number of where they were, but they take care of business, coming back more than handily with a 29-15 win over the Missouri State Bears. So that then sets up the championship series, where Oklahoma State would have to, in their own regional, win 2 games to ultimately win it. Take care of business the first time. 14-10, the win in Game 6 over Arkansas, and then fortunately Arkansas would get the 7-3 win. The Cowboys are eliminated here in their own regional this year, so Arkansas is the winner of the Stillwater Regional. Offense galore, just really, really entertaining baseball to see out there. I heard it was just an absolute electric environment out in Stillwater over the weekend. It's only a couple of hours away from Fayetteville, so a lot of Arkansas fans drove in and caught that regional. So fun times out in Stillwater. The Cowboys will be back. I think they've still got some talent. I think that will return. They've got some guys who are going to go pro as well. Justin Campbell's probably on their way out of there, on his way out of there. But tough to see it end that way. Our Red Raiders have been on that end of kind of situations before. We can think back to 2017 of being a hot favorites into the postseason there and losing your own regional and getting knocked out early. But hey, it happens. That's college baseball. Go ahead and give your any thoughts that you've got there, Boom.
Tip of the cap to the Red Raiders. You think you had the most realistic expectations of them from the start. I had a lot of homerism with the Red Raiders, but it just seemed like they weren't super elite. They were scrappy. They were self-described as scrappy, and that's really the best way you can describe them.
Yes.
Tadlock described them as scrappy. They overachieved, and I think once they finally get some killer rosters down, Tadlock is bound to get a championship at some point. The recruiting's going to be there, so. But
the recruiting class for the upcoming year, I mean, we'll talk about more about Tech in a few when we get to the number 16 overall regional where they were in. But the recruiting class coming in is like top 5, top 10, I believe, right now.
Absolutely.
Got some really elite position players, elite arms that are coming in. I mean, this is a very young team. You'll have pieces like Hudson White and Owen Washburn that will return and everything. We're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but Tech will continue to be great here.
Yes, bravo.
Moving forward. The window is still more than open. And I mean, this is
Exactly.
a team that doesn't rebuild; they reload. That's how Texas
Yes.
Tech baseball works at this point right now. They're one of those teams in the country, and Oklahoma State's the same way. They'll just continue to reload.
Yep, it's a good problem to have.
Absolutely. And so then we continue to head back further east, out of America's heartland, and out to the Carolinas and to Greenville, North Carolina, where the
Yes.
East Carolina Pirates were hosting the regional as the number 8 overall seed in the country. Pirates take care of business ultimately out of here. A little bit of a bump along at the end there, but 17-1 victory over Coppin State to open up things. They came out swinging. They were not playing around at all. Virginia, the Cavaliers defeat Coastal Carolina 7-2. In a losers bracket, that sends Coastal Carolina playing against Coppin State. Coastal Carolina defeats Coppin State to knock them out of there back to the winners bracket. It's a 4-2 victory of East Carolina over Virginia. Virginia sent to the losers bracket. That means Coastal Carolina would defeat them 7-6. So the championship series of East Carolina and Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina gave them a serious fight, 9-1 win over the Pirates in Game 6, sending it to Game 7. But in Game 7, the Pirates came out swinging, and it was a 13-4 final victory for the Pirates there in Greenville to win the Greenville Regional. And then we move out to the number 9 overall seeded regional in the country, down to Austin and the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah.
Longhorns came out, won 11-3 over Air Force. This was the Air Force, the Falcons' first NCAA tournament appearance since 1969.
Wow.
And the Air Force Falcons, while they would get defeated in Game 1 over by the Longhorns handily 11-3. They would that wouldn't be the end of them. We'll talk more about them in a second. So the other side there, the bracket, Louisiana Tech takes care of business over DBU 12-5. Moving into but then kind of finishing out the losers bracket real quick. Air Force would defeat DBU, send them packing home 0-2, and then Air Force would come back 9-7 to beat Louisiana Tech then in the next game of the losers bracket. And then Texas over Louisiana Tech would be the score of 5-2 in the winners bracket for Texas. So the championship series, Air Force to win that would need to win 2 games. Texas more than took care of business. It was a 10-1 win over Air Force there. But just a really cool show of class there at the end of that game. Just a great job to see Air Force ultimately make it to the championship series there.
Oh, yeah.
And the fans there at Dish Falk Field down in Austin were chanting USA a whole lot there as the game was finishing up. So they're playing the Eyes of Texas at the end there. You've got the kind of like with football season where you've got the opposing you've got the military academies when they're they'll go and if it's a road game, they'll go and stand behind the home team there as they're doing their alma mater. Just always a show of class, and it was the same way here. You had Air Force; they stood right behind the Longhorns there as they were playing the Eyes of Texas. Just an all-around classy moment. Said it a couple times before, but with these military academies, it does not matter the sports that they are playing. That is the easiest thing that they do on a weekly basis, is playing sports there. Everything else, they have a college experience unlike any other that is rigorous academically, physically, mentally. And for those guys to also compete in sports as well. On top of all that, tip of the cap to those fellas. Congrats, Air Force. Way to go on a great 2022 season. Looking forward to what y'all bring to the table next year. Mm-hmm. And then we head back out east, once again, to the Carolinas, and this time to the Triangle in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And that was the Chapel Hill Regional, hosted by the number 10 overall seeded North Carolina Tar Heels. UNC 15-4 takes care of Hofstra in Game 1. VCU takes care of Georgia 8-1 in their first game. Goodness, Georgia just absolutely takes care of business over Hofstra in the first game of the losers bracket. I didn't realize this until I was tuning in briefly to the regional. You know who the head coach is for Hofstra? Do you? Oh no! How much did we lose you there?
Yeah, it's called allergies, people. It's been battling it all week.
Okay, as I was saying there, so Hofstra goes home 0-2 in this regional. Do you know who Hofstra's head coach is, though? I thought this is cool as I was watching that regional.
No idea.
Frank Catalanato.
Caliendo?
I think it's not Frank Caliendo. Frank,
Yeah.
Frank Catalanato, the former, like, however many years he played in Major League Baseball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's
Nice.
the head coach of Hofstra there. But yeah, Hofstra goes home 0-2. But moving on in the brackets of how this how things went on. North Carolina did get sent to the loser side of the bracket in their next game with a 4-3 loss over VCU. North Carolina then takes care of Georgia 6-5, just squeaks it out there. And once they got to the championship series, they turned it on. 19-8 victories, 19-8 game 6 victory over VCU, and then a 7-3 game 7 victory over VCU. The Tar Heels are the winner of the Chapel Hill Regional. To Hattiesburg now, and the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Southern Miss takes care of Army in a very low scoring, kind of old school, no 3 true outcomes type of game with a 2-0 victory over the Knights of West Point. And then you have LSU that took care of business over Kennesaw State. So it's Southern Miss and LSU in the winners bracket there. Kennesaw State then takes care of Georgia, Army, 9-8 in the elimination bracket. And then Southern Miss would take care of them 4-3 on that side of the bracket. But back to the winners bracket, LSU takes care of LSU would take care of that in the winners bracket there. And like I just said, Southern Miss would take care of Kennesaw State in the losers bracket. So it's an LSU and Southern Miss bracket, but in this situation, another host team that has to win 2 in order to win their regional. And they would do just that. LSU brought a fight out there at Hattiesburg. Southern Miss gets that 8-4 game 6 victory over the Tigers of LSU, and then takes home the victory 8-7 game 7 over LSU. And so Southern Miss is the regional winner. And now we head out to Louisville, Kentucky. Not talking about the Kentucky Derby, though there definitely was the offense at times was a bit of a horse race between some of these teams here out in Louisville. So Louisville with the 7-2 victory over Southeastern Missouri State to open up that game. Michigan takes care of business 8-6 over Oregon. Oregon would then take care of business in the losers bracket to knock out Missouri State 18-6. Louisville knocks out Oregon 8-5 in the losers bracket, and then back into the winners bracket. Michigan takes care of Louisville 7-3. So that's a Michigan and Louisville final there. You know, once again, Louisville's got to win 2. Louisville 20-1. They blow out victory over in game 6 there over Michigan and the Wolverines. And then they would take care of business 11-9 win at there in game 7. It's not without a bit of controversy. There was should have been a called out with the base runner being tagged. With the base runner in motion, excuse me there. I think it was around like the 6th or 7th inning that would have kept the game tied at 7-7. But that call was not made. They called the runner safe, and then Louisville just kind of opens up their offense even more. Michigan can't do enough to get back there. Very questionable call. Just not sure what they were looking at replay wise there. What the decision making was going in there. A bit of an ump show. There was kind of some ump show activity throughout regionals over this past weekend, which is unfortunate. That's not what the game of baseball is about. You're there to be. Yeah, we get it. It's a thankless job, but you're not there to be, you're not there to be known.
Yeah.
Out there on the mound. So just a unfortunate situation with that. But hey, Louisville took advantage of what they were handed in their situation. So yeah, congrats to them. Louisville's still a really good team, and they'll have a good matchup out in on College Station against the Aggies. And then we head to Gainesville, and this is a regional that I really had my eye on here. Florida, Central Michigan, Liberty, Oklahoma, just a very stacked regional. Florida would take care of business in the opening game, 7-3 over Central Michigan. Oklahoma over Liberty, 16-3 in their opening game. In the losers bracket, Central Michigan knocks out Liberty 3-2. Oklahoma takes care of Florida 9-4. Florida then takes care of Central Michigan 6-5 in the losers bracket. So setting up a Florida versus Oklahoma regional final. Once again, Florida, because they went to the losers bracket, they'd have to win 2. And then game 6, they got that win 7-2 over Oklahoma. But Oklahoma would get the game 7 win 5-4 to be the winner of that Gainesville regional. We'll talk more about this Oklahoma team, but I really started becoming a believer of them in recent weeks. And they are they're showing it's for real for right now. We'll talk more about the Sooners here soon, but props to Skip Johnson's squad. Done an absolutely incredible job out in Norman with them, and they're taking it on the road this year. They'll go to Blacksburg, and I think they're going to keep the heat going when they're out there. We move out to the Plains and Auburn, the number 14 overall seeded Tigers hosting their Auburn regional. 19-7 win over the Southeastern Louisiana Lions to open things up. Florida State took care of business 5-3 in that opening game, and then Auburn and then UCLA in their elimination bracket game, 16-2 win to knock out the Southeastern Louisiana Lions handily. UCLA then, after Auburn sent Florida State to the losers bracket in a 21-7 victory over them, UCLA then picks up the 2-1 win over Florida State. And then Auburn gets the victory over UCLA 11-4 in the regional final there, very convincingly. Auburn, a kind of controversial host for regionals because of their just because of losing several series right at the end of the season. Not a great showing in Hoover for the SEC tournament, but they didn't care. They knew who they are. They've got Sonny D. They've got other key pieces there in that club. And back to the NCAA tournament for them this year, and they came out swinging, and they're moving on to supers now. So congrats to the Tigers there. They'll head on the road out to Corvallis, out west, to go play the Tigers, to go play the Beavers, excuse me. And then down to our last couple of regionals, number 15 overall seeded Maryland Terrapins out in the College Park Regional, hosting out there. 23-2 convincing win for the Terps. The opening game. UConn takes care of business 8-7 over Wake Forest. Wake Forest then knocks out Long Island 10-4. In the winners bracket, UConn 10-5 victory over Maryland. Maryland then in the losers bracket of their own regional, 10-5 victory over Wake Forest. That means that Maryland in their own regional is going to need to win 2. In game 6, they take care of business, squeaking out 7-6 over UConn. UConn has would come and back and win this in game 7, 11-8. Was not without a little bit of controversy there once again here at the end. Chris Allian, the star first baseman, 5-year veteran of Maryland, their Terps baseball program, a guy who's really helped build that program there. He had a really controversial call made at the end there. He got a base hit. However, he was called out after he was running on the wrong side of the foul line. He ran to the base on the inside. There was basically called as interference. He was out, so it absolutely kill the momentum late in the game for that Terps program. Terps unfortunately knocked out their own regional. That dream season in the Big Ten that they had comes to an end. Jim Pender's UConn Huskies, they are heading out to a super regional for the first time, I believe, in 11 years. Now, so congrats to UConn. They'll go out to the farm to play Stanford there. Yeah, and then the Statesboro Regional, Statesboro, Georgia, and Georgia Southern University, where our Texas Tech Red Raiders are playing over the weekend. And so Georgia Southern gets the 8-0 victory over UNC Greensboro to open things up. Notre Dame squeaks out a 3-2 win at the end on a wild. They got the go-ahead run on a wild pitch by Mason Molina there. Just a really tough performance. Molina's played at a very high level lately. Came in late there after an excellent starting showing by Chase Hampton. But it was not to be, so that sent our Red Raiders to the losers bracket, where they would have to get a 2-0 win over UNC Greensboro the next day, so they were staying alive. And then Georgia Southern got relegated to the losers bracket after a 6-4 victory over Notre Dame. So that meant that our Red Raiders would have to play Georgia Southern in the losers bracket there in order to get into the regional final. And so Texas Tech gets the 3-1 win over Georgia Southern. Excuse me, easy for me to say. And then that means that Tech, I thought that was pretty loud. They knocked out the hosting team out of their own regional there, and so that means you get another shot. You get another 2 shots, if things go right, over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But it was not to be. Just really struggled with situational pitching and really being able to push across runners in scoring position over the weekend for the Red Raiders. And so they load things up right there at the end. They're down 2-1 in the ninth. Jace Young, unfortunately, grounds out. And there at the end, the regional is over. Just tough end there was most likely Jace Young's last collegiate at bat. I mean, it's pretty much, he announced on Twitter today that is the case. That man is about to go pro. He's about to be a very hot commodity within Major League Baseball. But that means that Notre Dame moves on out of Statesboro, and they will go on the road to face the Tennessee Vols. So with that in mind, that means that we have 8
the Elite
regionals
8
now, also known as the Super Regionals, the Sweet 16 of
Sweet 16.
college baseball, because there are 2 teams each playing there.
Yes.
So previewing each of these regionals here. So you've got number 1 overall seed Tennessee versus Notre Dame in the Knoxville Super Regional. What is there to ultimately like about this Tennessee team? You've talked about them here. You've got guys like Jared Dickey, Drew Gilbert, Trey Lipscomb, batting 383, 373, and 363 respectively. Lipscomb has 21 home runs in the year. Uriel Ortega has 17. Jordan Beck with 16. Seth Stevenson has 25 stolen bases. Pitching wise here, Chase Dollander, 2.38 ERA, Chase Burns, 2.69, Drew Beam, 2.72, 103 strikeouts for Dollander on the year, 98 for Chase Burns. So that team is just stacked from top to bottom. Notre Dame, Notre Dame is a bit more kind of, they play a bit more old school, more well-rounded ball, not going to absolutely swing for the fences on everything. But, they've still got some good guys here, like Brady Gump, 375 batting average. Nick DeMarco also at 375. Brooks Kotsay III has 11 home runs. Jack Ziska has 11 home runs. Ryan Cole with 20 stolen bases. Jack Brannigan with 10. John Michael Bertrand, 2.27 ERA. That guy is an absolutely elite ace within college baseball. Really done things. He has 103 strikeouts on the year. There's both 2 really good teams, but I think Tennessee's got the edge here. Moving out to the Stanford Super Regional. You got Brett Barrera hitting 352, Carter Graham 345, Trevor Haskins 333. Graham has 22 home runs on the year. Brock Jones with 17. Jones also has 15 stolen bases. Pitching has really been the calling card for this Cardinal team this year. Quinn Matthews with 9 wins, credit to him. Alex Williams with 8. Williams is a 2.35 ERA. Matthews 2.69. Joey Dixon 3.48. Matthews with 102 strikeouts, Alex Williams with 89, and then Drew Dowd with 66 on the year. Excuse me. And then taking a look here at UConn, UConn, we touched on them at periods of time here throughout the season, but UConn, it doesn't surprise me ultimately looking at that they are playing as well as they do here, because they had the momentum all year long. Yes, they didn't play like a great schedule really all year. I mean, that's why, the team that was 49-14, was 16-5 in the Big East, went on the road in regionals because, hosting just really wasn't an option for them. The RPI was not great at all. They, even, as they kept winning, they just, you're a pretty far north team there. You're going on the road. You're getting what you can with your non-conference schedule. I mean, I'm looking at this, like the teams that they play, like North Florida, FIU, Pepperdine, Rhode Island, Kent State. I mean, in the Big East play, St. John's, Seton Hall, Villanova, Butler, Creighton. None of these are really known as just great baseball programs. So you play with what you're given there, but UConn took care of business with what they were given, and they're a focused team. They've been coming in playing very well here into the postseason. Corey Morton batting .411, Eric Stock 366, Ben Huber 325, Casey Dana has 12 home runs, Matt Donlin with 11, Ben Huber with 11, David Smith has 23 stolen bases. Pitching wise here, you've got some good guys as well. Here, Austin Peterson has 11 wins. Pat Gallagher, 11 wins, credited to his start. 10 wins, credited to his starts, excuse me. Gallagher's ERA is 3.17. Enzo Stefanoni with a 3.20 ERA. Austin Peterson with a 3.30. Peterson has 145 strikeouts on the year. Pat Gallagher with 102. And that's going to be a close one over the weekend in Palo Alto. We'll talk more about that as we close things out in a bit. But moving then to the Corvallis Regional, further up north at the West Coast, Oregon State here. We talked about these guys all year. Justin Boyd, 366 batting. Jacob Melton, 360. Wade Meckler, 355. Melton has 16 home runs. He has 24 stolen bases. Melton has 21 stolen bases. Travis Bazana has 13 stolen bases and Meckler 12. And then, they've got the pitching to help back that up as well. Cooper Jerpy, 10 wins. Jacob Matz, 8. Jerpy's ERA is 2.40. You got 155 strikeouts credited to Jerpy, and then 75 to Ben Fair, and Matz has 65. Lot to continue to like here heading into the postseason. They had a scare over the weekend with regionals, but they're continuing to grind things out. Auburn, Sonny DeChara, as we've talked about. That man is an absolute unit, batting 397 on the year. Blake Rambush, 353 batting. Brady Moss, 333. DeChara has 20 home runs on the year. Blake Rambush has 16 stolen bases. Kason Howell, 11. Brody Moore has 5 stolen bases. And pretty decent pitching here. This is definitely more of an offensive-driven team. We've got Joseph Gonzalez with 7 wins credited to him. Carson Skipper with 5. Gonzalez's ERA is a 2.90. Trace Bright with 84 strikeouts, and Mason Barnett with 74. I think I originally was really tempted to pick Auburn, but I think Oregon State's got more of the shot here in this. Virginia Tech. So heading out to the Blacksburg Regional. Jack Hurley batting 380. Tanner Schobel, 374. Carson Jones, 364. Nick Biddison, 353. This offense has been stout all year. Home runs have been the name of the game for this team. Schobel with 18. Cade Hunter with 16. Gavin Cross with 16. Carson DiMartini with 14. Jack Hurley with 13. Nick Biddison has 21 stolen bases. Gavin Cross, 21. Cade Hunter with 11. Jack Hurley with 10. Pitching wise here, Drew Hackenberg. That Hackenberg last name sounds familiar. Yes, he is the brother of Christian Hackenberg. He is one of 4 brothers in the Hackenberg family, an athletic group of lads, and he is the youngest of them all. And he's been a stud pitching for that team. 10 wins on the year, 3.10 ERA, 84 strikeouts. Also has Griffin Green with 7 wins and a 4.52 ERA. Graham Fivered has 68 strikeouts, and Griffin Green 59 on the year. So yeah, this is it's a pretty stout Virginia Tech team. They've just had an incredible year. Oklahoma heading in there to Blacksburg for that super regional. Tanner Treadway batting 367, John Spikerman 348, Payne Graham 339. Payne Graham with 19 home runs, Jackson Nicholas with 9, Jimmy Crooks with 7, Brett Squires 6, and Treadway 6. Payne Graham is 32 stolen bases, Treadway 23, Kendall Pettis 22, Blake Robertson 12, and then John Spikerman 11. Pitching wise, it can be a little up and down at times for this group, but I think they're really locking things in at the right time that they need. David Sandlin, he may have a 5.25 ERA, but the man has 8 wins credited to him on the year, and he gets strikeouts when they're needed the most with 83 on the season. Jake Bennett also 8 wins, and Bennett's ERA leads the team at 3.69. Chaz Martinez right there in between him and Sandlin at 4.94. Bennett leads the squad with 112 strikeouts on the year. We'll talk more about it. I'm kind of giving some of these picks away because I intended to give my predictions right there at the end. But getting a little ahead of myself here. Let's talk about the College Station Regional here. So Jack Moss batting 388, Austin Boast from A&M batting 368, Dylan Rock 340. Rock has 18 home runs in the year. Ryan Targuk has 14. Austin Boast has 9. Dylan Rock 16 stolen bases lead this team. Ryan Targuk's 11 are second, and Cole Kaler's 10 are third. Pitching, it's kind of been a work in progress, and some good performances at times as well too. But it's stepping up at the right times here for this team. Micah Dallas leading the team with 6 wins on the season. Joseph Menifee with 6. Chris Cortez with 6. Nathan Detmer with 4.67 ERA. Micah Dallas with a 5.38. 79 strikeouts from Dallas. Menifee with 78 strikeouts. Detmer was 71. Definitely a Schloss, Jim Schloss-Nagel kind of team with pretty good pitching and a lot of offense to go with it, and it's all coming together at the right time here for those Aggies. Louisville going into College Station for their regional. Chris Singh with a 385 batting average. Jack Payne with 354. Kristen Knapsick with a 343. Dalton Rushing has 22 home runs for this team. Ben Metzinger 19. Cameron Masterman with 18. Levi Usher with 36 stolen bases. Wow. Christian Knapsick, 17. Ben Metzinger, 11. And Isaac Humphrey, 11. Pitching-wise, they do a pretty good job as well in this department. Tate Kaner, 7 wins as a starter. Jared Poland, 5. Riley Phillips, 5. Kaner has a 3.39 ERA. Poland with a 3.43 ERA. Poland has 96 strikeouts. Kaner, 67. And then Riley Phillips, 64. Going to be a fun one there in College Station. Going to be a lot of offense. Out to Hattiesburg in the Southern Miss Super Regional. Destin Dickerson leads this team with a 326 batting average. Rodrigo Montenegro, 310. Daniel Lynch, 293. Christopher Sargent, 21 home runs. Carson Pato, 16. Will McGillis, 16. Dickerson with 6 stolen bases. McGillis, 6. Pato, 4. Slade Wilkes, 4. Pitching-wise, that really is the calling card for this program. Tanner Hall with 9. Wins as a starter. Hunter Riggins, 8. Hurston Waldrop, 6. Hunter Riggins leading the team with a 2.59 ERA. Tanner Hall not far behind at 2.61, and then Waldrop at 2.97. This team, they strike people out. 140 strikeouts lead this team with Tanner Hall. Hurston Waldrop with 128, and then Hunter Riggins at 85. This is going to be an interesting one to watch as well, because you've got Ole Miss coming to town. Tywone Malone, 444 batting average. Kevin Graham, 338. Ben Van Cleve, 325. Calvin Harris, 313. Tim Elko, talked about this man a lot throughout the season. 22 home runs on the year. Jacob Gonzalez with 17. And then Peyton Chatanier, I'm probably butchering that last name there, but with 11 home runs on the year. And then TJ McCants, 10 stolen bases. Chantanier, 6. and then Justin Bench with 4. Pitching wise, that's pitching is none of these teams, the numbers are deceiving because it's a lot better at this point now than it has been earlier points in the year. Dylan DeLucia, 5 wins, credit to him, and only a 4.69 ERA, but he's stepping up at the right time for this team. Hunter Elliott leads the team with a 3.17 ERA. Elliott has 82 strikeouts. Dylan DeLucia was 79, and then Brandon Johnson was 66. Moving out to Chapel Hill and the Super Regional there, hosted by the Diamond Heels of North Carolina. Let's talk about these Diamond Heels. Danny Serretti leading this team with a 365 batting average. Angel Zarate, 360. Eric Grintz with 333. Vance Honeycutt has 24 home runs on the year. Albert Osuna with 20 home runs. Mac Horvath with 18. Vance Honeycutt with 29 stolen bases. Horvath with 19. Pitching wise, led by Brandon Schaefer, 7 wins. Kyle Mott with 6 wins. Max Carlson with 3.61 ERA. Schaefer with a 3.73 ERA. Carlson with 84 strikeouts. Davis Palermo with 71. They're welcoming to town the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas was a bit of a slump to end the regular season, and they're in Hoover to start the postseason. But man, have they turned it on when they need it the most. And this team, we know that they can do some damage. Why? Because they've got guys like Chris Lanzilli with a 323 batting average, Michael Turner with a 310, Caden Wallace with a 299. This team has some power. Slavens has 15 home runs. Brady Slavens, that is, on the year. Caden Wallace with 15. Brandon Webb with 14. Caden Wallace leads this team in stolen bases at 11. Brandon Webb at 9. And Robert Moore with 5. Pitching wise, it could be a little streaky at times, but if you're getting to the Super Regional, you're presumably like you've got either the bats to keep you going, or you've got guys that are just inevitably going to stand up. Hagen Smith with 6 wins, starting pitcher. Connor Noland with 6. Jackson Wiggins with 6. Noland has a 4.13 ERA. Hagen Smith with a 4.89. Noland has 99 strikeouts on the year. Hagen Smith 79 and Wiggins 79. So they might give up some runs, but they might let some guys on base, but they get strikeouts when it's most necessary. So that's a good sign for Arkansas if they've got to go on the road again for a Super Regional. As we look to our final Super Regional, we're going out to Greenville, staying in the great state of North Carolina. And this East Carolina team, that had huge expectations going into the beginning of the year. And they just fell into like this lull. We ripped, you and I wrote these guys off kind of like midway through the season. They're
absolutely.
This team looked like they were dead in the water, but April starts to progress. We're getting into May. This team gets hot right at the right time. Get number 1 seeded in their conference tournament. Go and win it all the way through. It's the regular season champion, and then they get into hosting their own Super Regional. Regional as the national seed. Win that means they're hosting a Super Regional. And so, what does this team have? You've got Lane Hoover, who's batting 343. Jacob Jenkins Cowart with a 326 batting average. Bryson Worrell, 324. Worrell has 18 home runs on the year. Jenkins Cowart, 12. Alec Makarovich with 10. Got Lane Hoover with 12 stolen bases. Bryson Worrell with 10. Carter Spivey has 8 wins as a starting pitcher. Garrett Saylor, 6. CJ Mayhew with 5. Spivey leads this team with a 2.43 ERA. Mayhew with a 2.82. Then Saylor's got 100 strikeouts. Spivey 75, and then Mayhew 66. And then the team that they will face in this regional, the big bad evil empire of the Texas Longhorns.
Preseason number 1.
Yes, preseason number 1. Had a rough patch there, but they're getting hot when it matters the most. Ivan Melendez, the Hispanic Titanic, batting 404 on the year. That is ridiculous. He has 30 home runs. That man is just a unit of a baseball player, and he's going to be in the pros sooner than later. And going to be a hot commodity for a lot of teams. Mm-hmm. Murphy Staley, 372 batting average. Skylar Messenger, 370, the Kansas transfer. And Then you've got Murphy Staley, 17 home runs, Trey Faltini's 14, Silas Ardoin's 11, Dylan Campbell with 11 stolen bases, Eric Kennedy with 9, Douglas Hodo with 8. Pete Hansen leads this team with 11 wins on the year as a starter. You've got Lucas Gordon with 7 wins, Tristan Stevens with 6. Gordon's 2.36 ERA leads this team. Hansen's 3.08. It's not far behind. And then Tristan Stevens with a 4.70 ERA. Pete Hansen's got 112 strikeouts in the year. Lucas Gordon 71, and then Tristan Stevens with 64. So that does it for all 8 super regionals, the Sweet 16 of college baseball. Last week, I predicted Tennessee, UC Santa Barbara, Oregon State, Gonzaga, Louisville, Southern Miss, Oklahoma State, and East Carolina as my Omaha 8 there at that time. That's changed a bit based on how some of these regionals turned out, and even teams that are hosting, just how I think they're going to go up against opposing teams. So this week, Barrett, you've got your Omaha 8. I've done a lot of talking here, sir. I want you to go ahead and give some of your thoughts about what you're seeing here heading into super regionals and how you think these are going to turn out.
Yep. So looking at the super regionals, a lot of teams that more surprises than not surprises. The first series, Tennessee is obviously the number 1 team. It's going to be hard not to go for them. The second, Stanford, I picked them to win the whole thing at the very beginning, so I have to go with them despite your convictions, Trav, that UConn are good. And I'm sure UConn are great, but I got to go with Stanford. I got to rep the preseason prediction and my dad's alma mater there. The Corvallis, that's going to be interesting. Now, Auburn is a team, having covered the SEC on a week-by-week basis, they really snuck in towards the end. But Oregon State's just been a powerhouse as of late, and I just think Auburn might have the potential to pull it off, but it's 50-50. But I think Oregon State, they have too much staying power. Virginia Tech OU is a tough one. OU, I mean, bravo to them. I mean, I got to tip my cap to OU. They have really outdone themselves in the Big 12. They made it. They are one of 2 Big 12 teams, and it's not Texas Tech, and it's not TCU. It's Texas and OU of all teams. But I don't know. I just think their luck's about to run out. Got to go Virginia Tech. Texas A&M, Louisville, I'm going with the Ags all the way. Their late surge is for real, and the College Station is going to be rocking. The Hattiesburg one's funny because of Southern Miss and Ole Miss. Ole Miss was highly pre-ranked at the beginning, and then they just fell off the map. But then they came back. Southern Miss, on the other hand, they came in towards the middle, really, and they never left. But just taking a look at it, I think Southern Miss... I think Ole Miss, they've just been too wishy-washy. You could maybe point it out to just a rough start, and then Ole Miss really is a top 5, top 3 pre-ranked team, caliber team. They just had a rough start, but I just got to believe in the mid-majors and go with Southern Miss. North Carolina, Arkansas. I'm going with Arkansas. They just, I might be biased because when I look at them week in and week out, I just think they're too stacked. I think their pitching's too good, so I got to go with them. But it's a toss-up. It's kind of like off, but I just got to go with the safe pick. And then, last but not least, this is my opinion. This is one of the funniest ones. East Carolina. You and I both picked East Carolina in our preseason Omaha 8, and Texas. I don't remember if you picked them, but I definitely didn't. They were preseason number 1. I got to go with East Carolina Pirates. One, because I literally had no idea they would be here. And Lorenz out. The Pirates, the ultimate comeback season. To be pre-ranked in the top 25 so high, the highest ranked mid-major team to going all the way back to super regionals ahead of so many other teams. Got to go with them. So again, Tennessee, Stanford, Oregon State, Texas A&M, Southern Miss, Arkansas, East Carolina. Those are my Omaha 8.
We got some differing opinions here, but as I'm talking about next, I think you definitely have some strong convictions and some good reasoning with everything you picked here. So
it's a crapshoot.
We don't differ too much here. I mean, we both start out once again. I'm picking Tennessee to move on. I think Notre Dame is a very good team, but Tennessee is the much more offensive oriented team, and that really benefits them in a park like Lindsey Nelson Stadium out there in Knoxville. It plays very downhill. It's great for power. It's great for the game that Tennessee plays. So give me Tennessee moving on to Omaha for the second year in a row.
Yes.
I'm picking UConn. Stanford has been very good as of lately, but their offense just hasn't really stuck out for me. And yes, what UConn's has, and I know that they're going to be going up against the really stout pitching staff of Stanford. But I think UConn, I think they're just red hot. I think this is the last team 10 years ago, there was a team from the upper Eastern Seaboard around that area, that UConn is from, that went to was the last team from that region to go to Omaha, and that was Stony Brook University. And I believe that 10 years later, the stars are just all aligning for UConn to be the first team from that region to return to Omaha. So I give me UConn on this one. I think they take that. Well, Tennessee, I see them taking that one in 2 games there. I see UConn taking this one in 3. I think Stanford gets a game in there. Gets out of the first or second game. But I think UConn ultimately takes that one. Oregon State, I continue to see them taking care of business. Really good Auburn team, but I think Oregon State is the much more complete team when you look at what they bring to the table there. I mean, they had scare by some really good teams in that regional, but things are often a little bit different once you get to super regionals. It just I feel like the performance of play steps up that much more. What happened to you in regionals shapes you that much more. So I think Oregon State is the West Coast representation this year for Omaha out there and representing the Pac-12 as well. I then going to the Blacksburg Regional. I'm picking Oklahoma. I've watched Oklahoma very intently here as this year has ended, between them taking the final regular season series against our Red Raiders in Lubbock, and then going and winning the Big 12 championship out in Arlington, and got to go to one of the games out there and got to see Tech play OU at the beginning of the winners brackets there in Arlington. OU, that team can hit for power. They can play good small ball, situational ball. They can pitch. They have absolutely ridiculous speed and athleticism on the bases and out there in the outfield with their defense. Kendall Pettis is an absolute base stealing machine. He is just an incredibly fun player to watch. Not the strongest bats in the world, but the man gets on base, and when he's on base, watch out, because he's going to be on third base sooner than you know it. So Oklahoma, I think, just continues a dream season for them. And, this club, Skip Johnson really needed to have a very strong year. I believe this is his fourth or fifth year with the program. Only had one regional appearance so far since he was out there, and missed regionals a couple of times before that. As head coach, just barely. And so you really needed to see a strong year out of this Oklahoma program. I think he's really solidified this long-term future there as the head coach of those guys. I think Oklahoma gets back to Omaha for the first time in a long time. And the Sooners bid their goodbye to the Big 12 in epic fashion, though I guess they're still playing with us one more year next year at least. But anyways, they they can tell the rest of the Big 12 to kick rocks this period of time right now, because we'll talk about anybody else in the Big 12 goes in this to Omaha in a second. But out to College Station, I have Texas A&M handling business out there. Two really good offensive teams, but I think A&M's pitching comes through just a little bit more over Louisville's. And they've got the home field advantage out there in College Station. Give me Texas A&M. Southern Miss and the Golden Eagles. That was really a toss up for me between them and Ole Miss. Ole Miss has the power. Southern Miss has the pitching, but I think Southern Miss gets the job done out there in Hattiesburg. And I think there's going to be a lot of offense that's scored, but I think Southern Miss will take that game, that series in three games over the Ole Miss Rebels. Arkansas, I think the good times just keep on rolling here for Arkansas in the postseason. I think they've just got the way more well-rounded team compared to North Carolina. And then I am picking East Carolina to close it out. I mean, once again, a very tough toss-up here. I could see this in this series that goes 3 games. I could see that there. But I could see East Carolina ultimately taking care of it in the end. I think it's their park that gives them the advantage there and their environment that they have. And I think Texas's bullpen is just a little bit. I think their bullpen could get exposed in a super regional like this. So, yeah, that's what my Omaha 8 looks like.
There you go. A little bit of similarities, a few differences there. We will be convening next week to see who is correct. I just think no matter which way you slice it, I just want to get to Omaha because there's just something magical about the College World Series taking place smack dab in the middle of the country. It's looking forward to it, man. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yes, it is. Love the sport of baseball. Love what we've got going on in Major League Baseball. But man, when we hit this mid to late June period, it is fun baseball in college baseball land, and we're soon about to reach the pinnacle of Omaha. But we've got one more weekend of super regionals to go before we get there.
One more weekend of college baseball action. So gotta enjoy it while we can. But ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much for joining us. We've been doing it the whole time, just step by step, and you're joining us for the journey. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Subscribe to No Doubter wherever you're listening to this episode. Give us a 5-star review. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us at No Doubter Pod. You can follow me at Boomboss at 21, Travis at Travis Lofley. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see our faces, pour and score. You can see when we drink the beverages and actually show them for you. So, the visual component is there. Check it out. If you've been listening to us for a while, please consider joining our Patreon. You get a greater level of access. You help us put on the show. We want to give shout-outs to our longest-standing patron, Tad Bostic, and Patreon producer, Don Hale. Thank you two gentlemen. You help make the show possible. If you want to be a shout-out to $2, $5, $10, whatever you want to throw our way, we would greatly, immensely appreciate it. Check out our merch store, mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, baseball shirts, phone cases, whatever you want. It's all there. I have all the links in the description below. Check it out. We just want to hear from you guys. We want to build a community. Folks just loving baseball. That's what we talk about week in and week out for you. So, Timon, land the plane.
Friends, in the spirit of none other than the Amanda we just talked about, who lives out the No Doubter way, the man himself, the Hispanic Titanic, batting .404 on the year. You too, in all that you're doing in life, swing for the fences. Bat 400. Who knows what might happen? Great things might come in all things in life. You just never know. We love you guys, and we'll see y'all